Yeah, guys, there is another important topic in the matters of international relations. So, there is a topic in the GS, international relations. There is a organization relevant to the international relations and events. There is a organization. Today, another important organization is OPEC. Okay, OPEC is the different organization based on their resources, based on their natural resources, which is mineral resources like petroleum, gases, like okay, countries they can assemble the group of countries to made a organization called OPEC. Okay, OPEC is the organization of petroleum exporting countries. Petroleum exporting countries. Okay, organization of petroleum exporting countries. Okay, this is totally based on the international trade, guys. Okay, yeah, there is a petroleum resources like mineral resources are like in the global part, which is mostly Middle East countries. Middle East countries are the petroleum export countries, guys. This is the organization is very rich organization, guys. Okay, yes, we are going to discuss what are the countries of body structure of OPEC. Okay, yeah, organization of the petroleum export countries, OPEC. Okay, recently the Brazil approved the entry of OPEC. The Brazil recently approved the entry of OPEC. This is current event. Okay, current affairs. Okay, what is OPEC? Actually, what is OPEC? Okay, OPEC is the permanent intergovernmental organization of 12 exporting developing nation. Almost OPEC countries are 13 actually, 12 exporting countries. Okay, yeah, India is not a member of OPEC because of India not a greater production of petroleum and gases. Okay, yeah, so India is not a member of OPEC, guys. Okay, yes, a minute. Yeah, India is not a member of OPEC. Okay, yeah, OPEC is like they originate, the place is Baghdad Conference. Baghdad Conference in 1960, guys. In the 1960, there is a Baghdad Conference. Baghdad is the place where Iraq. Okay, the place in Iraq, Baghdad Conference took place in 1960 with the countries of Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. These five countries in the Baghdad Conference meet to make a organization called OPEC. Okay, Baghdad Conference took place in the Baghdad, the area which is in Iraq in 1960. These five countries assemble to make a organization is OPEC. What are the founder countries are here? Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. Mostly oil countries, guys. Oil and petroleum, natural gases exporting countries. In the 1960, they grouped into make a conference which is OPEC. Okay, organization which is OPEC. Right now it is 13 member countries, guys. Right now it is 13 member countries and India is not a member of OPEC. Okay, yeah, the objectives of OPEC is to coordinate and unify the petroleum policies. Okay, they have certain policies to follow it. Okay, uniformly follow it, these countries, these exporting countries. Okay, yeah, member countries, in order to secure fair and stable prices, in order to secure their fair and stable prices on petroleum products. Okay, yes, headquarter, they can ask you the OPEC headquarter is where? It is Austria, Vienna. Austria is the Europe country Vienna, which is the capital of Austria, there is a OPEC headquarter is there. Even Austria is not member of OPEC country, but their headquarter is there in the Vienna. Vienna is the most important place. There is a convention took place, Vienna Convention, in the environmental challenges. Vienna Convention based on that ozone depletion. Ozone depletion, about that there is a Vienna Convention took place in the environmental destruction, that is also based on environment. This is the based on the oil exporting countries, guys. This is quite opposite, right? This is the oil countries, there is a oil, petrol, and they can create the pollution, but Vienna Convention is based on pollution. Both headquarters are there here in the Austria, Vienna. OPEC is responsible to falling oil prices driven by significant increase in US, and there is a output. Of course, there is a forces from the developed countries, like there is a larger economic countries are, they can imposes, there is a taxes on the tariff taxes on the petroleum exports, guys. Based on that, there is a tariff taxes, they can avoid. These group of countries, they can make policies based on the export taxes, guys. In that way they created OPEC, oil and Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Yes. Of course, detailed notes of OPEC. It is created in 1960, Baghdad, Iraq. There is a Baghdad conference 1960 took place to form the OPEC. The headquarter is Austria, Vienna, the place of Austria country. Founding members, this is the important in the coming exam. The founding members of OPEC is important for the coming exam. Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia are the Middle East countries. And Venezuela is South America. This group of 5 countries, they made a organization called OPEC. Yes. Objectives, main objectives of OPEC is stable oil prices, coordinate and unify between the countries, the exporting countries, and stable prices and steady income to promote producing income and regular supply of petroleum and efficient and economic production. Guys, just look into here, this is the highly mineral resources countries. Their economy based on their mineral resource and export to the other countries. If the other countries, they denied the export, they denied to import these resources like petroleum gases and natural gases and oil. If they don't import, that can be most effective countries are these emerging countries, because of they depend on only this export of petrol and natural gases, guys. There is a crisis in the Venezuela. Inflation is took place. There is a countries all over is, there is a destruction took place in the Venezuela. Even they producing high amount of oil. Complete they depend on oil production and exporting, guys. In this way, these countries is highly rich and highly affect if any economic, like any geopolitical situations took place in their regions, guys. The countries, member countries right now, which is the Middle East countries. If come to the Middle East countries, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and UAE. These are the Middle East countries, and Africa countries are Algeria, Angola, Congo, Equatorial Guinea and Gabon, Libya and Nigeria. These are the African countries, and South America countries is Venezuela. Venezuela, Ecuador is South America countries. Libya Algeria, Libya, Nigeria, Congo, Angola, these Equatorial and Gabon. These are the African countries, guys, Africa. And if come to the Middle East, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia is the Arab countries, UAE. Iran is the largest importer of natural gases and petroleum natural gases for India, guys. India largest import from the Iran, guys. India took place, like Iran is the most provider for India, guys. Okay, yes, yeah. If come to the OPEC alliance, OPEC alliance is took place in 2016. There is a include of non-OPEC countries like Russia, Mexico and Kazakhstan. Russia, Mexico, Kazakhstan are alliance countries for the OPEC in from the 2016 onwards. Okay, yeah. The goal is to control supply and stabilize prices. To control supply and stabilize prices after COVID crash. Okay, yes. And importance of OPEC countries. It can be controlled like 40% of global oil producing. 40% global oil production is took place from the OPEC countries. These 13 countries, there is a 40% oil production from these 13 countries, guys. 80% of world oil reserve. 80% oil reserves are there from these 13 countries. 80% oil reserves are there and 40% production is coming from these 13 countries, okay, OPEC countries. This is major influence of global oil prices, guys. Major influence of global oil prices about these countries. Yeah, next, recent current affairs relevant to the OPEC, okay. OPEC cut oil production to keep prices above $80. Okay, India has criticized OPEC and causing inflation due to the high oil prices. Okay, Saudi Arabia and Russia have extended their voluntary oil cuts to boost revenue. Okay, yeah, renewable energy is the counter for the OPEC countries, guys. Okay, yes, yeah. GK points to remember. India is not a member OPEC country. This is one point. OPEC is biannually to set the production targets, mean every 2 years there is a summit for this organization, every 2 years. Okay, yeah. OPEC is often referred to the cartel oil production nations. OPEC is found for the International Development Fund. Okay, OPEC Fund for International Development. This is OFID. OFID is relevant to the OPEC. OFID is relevant to the OPEC. They can ask you what is OFID is relevant to the which international organization, which is OPEC Fund for International Development, OFID. Okay, yes. Next. In June 2024, OPEC announces an extension of oil production. The main reason OPEC announces extension of oil production, mean there is a 40% production is took place in the 13 countries, right? They increase their production from the 40% to above. Okay, yeah. For this answer is to stabilize global price aimed index demand. There is a global price is aim to demand to meet the demands, guys. Okay, yeah, stabilize the global oil prices and meet the demand. Okay, yeah, aim to weak the demand, sorry. Okay, this is the question about 2014. Yeah, MCQs. This is actually, there is no need. OPEC organization, you have to find the OPEC organization structure. Okay, this is the key points where OPEC is the 13 countries, 13 member countries, and there is a Brazil is approved recently in the OPEC. This is two key point, and India is not member, and Baghdad conference 19 1960, the founder countries Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, or Saudi Arabia and Venezuela is the founder countries, and headquarters is Vienna, Austria. This is the organization of OPEC, structure of organization of OPEC. Okay, yeah, you have to key remember about this, and these are the founder countries, okay, OPEC countries, and these are the 13 countries of OPEC countries. They can ask you which one of the following is not comes under OPEC country. Okay, 13 countries you have to remember. Okay, after that, MCQs you have to practice. MCQs we have to practice relevant to the OPEC countries, guys. Okay, yeah. OPEC was established in which year? OPEC was established in which year? Okay, OPEC was established in 1960, guys. OPEC was established in 1960. Where is the headquarter of OPEC? Is like Vienna, the place of Austria, Vienna. Okay, Vienna is the place for the OPEC headquarter, guys. Which is Baghdad Conference, the Iraq. Okay, 1960 OPEC formation is took place. Okay, yes, and yeah, which of the following is not member of OPEC country? Nigeria, Venezuela, Indonesia and Iran. Indonesia is not OPEC country, guys. Indonesia is not OPEC country. Which country is the largest oil producer in OPEC? This is important. This is important. Okay, Saudi Arabia is the largest production of OPEC country. Largest oil production of OPEC country is Saudi Arabia. Okay, this is important for exam. Next question. What is OPEC? A UN oil division, OPEC with the additional oil producing nations, and trade agreement G20 subgroup. No, OPEC is, yeah, this is OPEC is OPEC with the additional oil producing nations. Okay, oil producing nation right now, which is how many? 13 nations. 13 nations. From the South America, Africa and Middle East countries. Okay, South America, Australia, Africa and Middle East countries. There is no North America, there is no Europe countries are involved. The headquarters is Vienna, where Europe. Okay, yes. Yeah, how many members of OPEC countries? 13 members, guys. 13 members right now. As of now, there are 13 members in the OPEC organization. Yeah. Recent current affairs, guys. I am going to discuss the another thing relevant to the OPEC. OPEC is the environmental pollution, the organization which is to secure oil and petroleum, guys. Okay, with the oil and petroleum, there is a destruction of habitations and environment, guys. In that way, there is another important organization we are going to discuss today is United Nations Human Settlement Program, UN Habitat. UN Habitat, most important organization which is United Nations Human Settlement Program. Okay, this is quite opposite to the OPEC. Okay, United Nations Human Settlement Program, UN Habitat, which is C40 cities and UN Habitat. C40 also there is a name of human, there is a like habitat. Okay, human settlement habitat. C40 cities have announced to landmark to partnership of transform urban planning. Transform urban planning, UN Habitat. Okay, yeah, it will launch the urban planning accelerator to cut city emissions by 25% in 2050. The target of UN Habitat, UN Habitat C40 UN Habitat is relevant to the, they can ask you the question, C40 cities or UN Habitat, the main aim to cut the emissions, okay, these pollution emissions from oil or petroleum emissions to cut 25% up to the year 2015. They target, right now it is the pollution about, assume it is 60% pollution is right now. Pollution is in 2025, it is 60% pollution in the cities, which is cut 25% from the 60% pollution. 25% can be reduction by the year 2050. This is the target of UN Habitat, where cities 40 UN Habitat is the same. United Nations Human Settlement Program, okay, United Nation Human Settlement Program, which is C40 cities, okay, to have announced the landmark partnership to transform urban planning. Will launch the urban planning accelerator to cut city emissions 25% by 2050, promoting safer, fair and inclusive urban spaces. This is against OPEC. This organization is against OPEC, guys. Okay, yeah. About UN Habitat, UN Habitat, which is launched in 1978, okay, to promote socially and environmentally sustainable towns and cities. Okay, to promote socially and environmentally sustainable cities, socially, environmentally sustainable towns and cities, to promote it. Okay, ensuring adequate shelter for all, okay, yeah. The role which is through initiative like new urban agenda to seek to make inclusive, safe and resilient, sustainable. Okay, about C40, it is the global network, nearly 100 mayors of world leading, okay, cities. Okay, C40 is there is a meeting about the mayors of 100 cities globally. They can come together to discuss about urban planning for the sustainable and environmental, okay, cities and livelihood. For this organization UN Habitat, there is a C40 cities, okay, to cut the emissions, mean pollution emission, which is natural gases or petroleum emissions, to cut it 25% by 2050, guys. Okay, this is quite opposite to the OPEC countries, guys. Okay, that's why I made it this organization here, this video. Okay, yeah, guys, I hope you guys understand these two, OPEC and UN Habitat. OPEC and UN Habitat. Okay, OPEC were found, which is 1960. OPEC is found in 1960. UN Habitat is found in 1974. UN Habitat found in 1974. Okay, 1978. UN Habitat is 1978 and OPEC is 1960, guys. Okay, this is about the two organizations today we did discuss, guys. Tomorrow we will going to discuss another important organization relevant to the international relations and events. Okay, I hope you guys understand this topic. Thank you. You can like the video if you like my teaching, and you can share it if your friends are truly aspirants for competitive exams. Thank you.